This episode is brought to you by Accenture. When your advertising operations fall out of sync, everything else follows. Spotify and Accenture are working together to reinvent the rhythm of ad sales, using automation, analytics, and smarter workflows to simplify campaign delivery and access better data across the business. The result? Less time spent on operations, more time connecting brands with the moments and fandoms that matter most. Learn more at accenture.com/Spotify.
Morning decisions. How about a creamy mocha frappuccino drink? Or sweet vanilla? Smooth caramel, maybe? Or a white chocolate mocha? Whichever you choose, delicious coffee awaits. Find Starbucks Frappuccino drinks wherever you buy your groceries.
Hello and welcome to The Best Worst, a celebration of the best and the worst of the television we love.
Hi, I'm Meg Bashburner.
And I am Joseph Fink.
And we love television. It's TV. And because we love TV, we created this show to explore what we all love about popular television shows by watching both the IMDb viewer best rated and worst rated episodes of a quintessential series.
Because we want to learn more about television, and this is one of the ways you can do that, among many ways. All the shows we cover must have at least 100 episodes unless we either under HBO rules, where they must have 50, or unless we decide to just abandon that rule in the future. And we also exclude premieres and finales because the best episode of most shows is the series finale. Let's get to today's show.
Today's show is Roseanne, which ran for 9 seasons from 1988 to 1997 with 221 episodes. Roseanne's a complicated one because there was a reboot that we are not including. And then there's also a spin-off, which is like from the reboot. So there was the reboot in 2018 that got canceled because of Roseanne. We'll get to that in the controversy section. But then they came back with a Roseanne without Roseanne called The Connors. Roseanne reboot and The Connors are not included in our calculations today.
And I had to do some math to get the middle list because IMDb, while they keep the Connors separate through the one season of the reboot and in my opinion, reboots don't count as part of the show.
You did math, I did meth, here we are.
All right, what is your background with Roseanne?
My background with Roseanne is that I watched the show when it was on. It premiered when I was 2.5 years old. I watched a lot of it when it was on. I was into it. I watched it in reruns. I was very familiar with the work of this show, and I enjoyed watching it. When I was watching it then, I did not see it as the groundbreaking piece of television that I can see it as now. But then I just enjoyed it. I just got to see it for what it was and dig it. How about you?
I was aware of Roseanne as a TV show, like that it existed, and then my sister, I think it was my sister, she listens to the show, she'll let me know if I got this wrong, but I think she watched it in like the 2000s. Like she went back and watched all of it and really liked it. So I was aware it was like a good TV show. And then I'm aware of Roseanne Barr as like a bad person now. Like in the last 10 years, she's done some really not great stuff. And so, yeah, I think I've never seen any of it knowingly. I might be, maybe as a kid it was on somewhere, but I think my main knowledge of it was like Roseanne the show, good, Roseanne the person, bad.
Going into watching Roseanne, when you put on the worst episode, I was not looking forward to covering this. I thought it was all going to be bad. I was like, there's no way this holds up. Because I know now that like Roseanne the person, not great. I was like, there's no way this show is going to hold up and be good. And then you put on the worst episode and it was so incredibly bad. But then, the things did turn around for us on it.
And it was not just bad. I mean, obviously we'll talk about it in a second, but it was bad in a way that is not at all representative of what the show is even like.
Yeah, it was very refreshing to get to the best and middleest episodes of the show because the worst one was so freaking bad.
Do you want to give us a little info on how it got started?
Okay. So this is late 80s. ABC and NBC are sort of back and forthing. And ABC is not doing well up against The Cosby Show, up against Cheers. Like NBC is eating ABC's lunch in the sitcom arena. So ABC's response to that is to try to put some new sitcoms on the air. They pick Roseanne. They thought it would work. They did not know it would work so well. So it is produced by the production company Carsey Werner, which was a production company created by ABC executives Marcy Carsey and Tom Werner. And Marcy Carsey founded it in 1981 and started making television shows. Carsey Werner made The Cosby Show. So ABC was like, if you can do it for NBC, what do you have for us? And they brought Roseanne to the forefront. They wanted to do an idea of a working class family sitcom, and they had seen Roseanne on The Tonight Show, and they believed in her.
Yeah, the whole thing is kind of built around her stand-up persona, which was like this working class
domestic
mom.
Goddess. Yeah. Which is like, it is interesting because there's been women stand-ups for a long time, but it was like a little bit forbidden for a woman stand-up to talk about like how she finds her kids annoying and how her house is a mess, and like just not projecting the idea of this like perfect the domestic goddess, right? So that realness, I think they saw had the potential to resonate with audiences, and it did. It really did. It premiered. It did great from the beginning. Became in its first season 1 came in second to The Cosby Show. Its season 2 beat The Cosby Show, so became one of the most popular TV shows of that era, and was at number 1 for a really long time. And at its height, 30 million people were watching it. So there's a lot of people watching it, right? Like it premiered to 36.2 million viewers. It was number 2, and then it had 39.4 million viewers for season 2 when it was number 1. So,
and you think about, like, I remember when Mad Men was kind of what everyone was talking about, and people were like, the thing about Mad Men is like at its best, it's getting like 2 or 3 million people total. It's just the shows of this era were getting just eyes like no show now does.
Yeah, we talk about this a lot on the show because, there was so many more viewers at the time. And Roseanne did pretty well. It stayed in popularity. It was 1, 2, 3, 4. Season 7 dropped to number 9. Season 8 dropped to number 16. Season 9 dropped to number 35. So it was kind of a death rattle here.
And then season 9, I don't know if it was related to the dropping, like which came first, but season 9, I think also the writing really went off the rails in season 9. They, our worst episode is from season 9, but season 9 is the one where they win the lottery and so are no longer working class. They just completely abandon the whole premise of it being a working class sitcom. And also John Goodman at that point had like a movie career and so really wasn't available. So there's almost none of John Goodman, who is, a very good performer and a great person to have on your screen. So missing him.
Oh, yeah. And a really big part of the chemistry of the show. A lot of what makes the show work is the chemistry between Dan and Roseanne.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So that is the sort of history of Roseanne. There's throughout the course of time, trying to figure out a way to put this. So without like being incredibly biased against Roseanne. So a lot of the people who worked on the show talked about how Roseanne really wanted to retain creative control over things. And there was a lot of hirings and firings. There was like, for every season, there was a new showrunner. It was just like the sort of chopping block there. She referred to her writers by number instead of name.
Oh, fuck.
She brought on Tom Arnold, who was her husband, who was like, couple seasons in, she got divorced and married Tom Arnold, brought him in. And he was not very talented in the writer's room, had never written before. And so he was tasked with being like, were tasked with teaching him how to write. So he was not a good writer, didn't know what he was doing, but had like a lot of creative control, because if he didn't like what was going on, he would just go to Roseanne and she would say like, here's the door. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Roseanne, it's like hard to know what to do with the reputation of Roseanne as kind of awful on the show, because on one hand, her recent behavior where she's basically gone full QAnon and full Trump and having to be fired for racist posts, that indicates that probably she is a very bad person. And so this is probably all true. On the other hand, this was like the late 80s into the early 90s, and she was a working class Jewish autistic woman demanding to have...
Fat woman, too.
Fat woman demanding to have control over her show. And I can imagine how that would so easily get an unfair reputation for being a monster just because she was trying to, overrule decisions made by the white men in charge.
Yeah, I think we can walk and chew gum here. Is she bad, or do people just hate women? I think it's both. I think obviously she's very talented, incredibly charismatic performer. Lots
and some
of funny
of the
jokes.
stories are like stuff where she's the sympathetic one. There's, she got kind of feuded with, what was his name? Matt Williams, is that it? Who is the credited creator because he wrote the pilot script, and by WGA rules, if you write the pilot script, you're the creator. But she was mad that her name was not up there as well, so she forced him out.
Although the show's called Roseanne, my dude.
Yeah.
Like, my name is not on the screen. It's called Roseanne. Like, what?
So she forced him out after 13 episodes. But some of the stuff they were arguing about, like, she was in the right. Like, she has her real life brother and sister are both gay, so she wanted gay characters in the show, and Matt Williams was like, absolutely not. And she won that out. Sandra Bernhardt's character was lesbian. There was also a big, apparently, argument about, he wrote her the line, her talking to John Goodman's character, saying, the only time you're the boss of me is in bed. And she was like, I'm not saying that line. Like, I'm just not doing it. I don't know where I land on this story, but it's kind of fun, which is that the person who played Becky, the first Becky, wanted to have short hair, and the network executives were like, no, we don't want that. We want you'll be cuter without short hair, so you have to have long hair. And so she went to Roseanne and talked to her about it, and Roseanne just pulled out scissors and personally just cut her hair short and was like, well, they can't do anything about it now.
Yeah.
So there's stuff like that where I'm like, I think some of this comes down to, like, she wanted to have creative control, and there was a lot of people who did not want her to have creative control. And given that the show seems to, on the whole, be good, I think there's a strong argument that she was right to want creative control.
Yeah. It's hard to know. It's hard to know without being there, without talking to the people that were there. And so when we do our spin-off podcast, Roseanne, What Really Happened There, where we get to interview all of the creators of the show and Roseanne herself, we will hopefully have some more answers for you. So stay tuned for that. It's not going to happen. But stay tuned for that.
I mean, even if it happened, we are like the least qualified people to make it.
Yeah.
We are 11 minutes in, so we should either play some Fish songs or get to the worst episode of Roseanne.
Yeah. Guys, I've never done math. I think I said that at the top. And
what?
All right.
Take us to the worst one.
The worst episode is season 9, episode 9, Roseambo.
Which I always go into the IMDb trivia for each episode just to see if there's anything interesting there. And kind of the only thing there, and this is just very helpful, the IMDb trivia helpfully tells us that the title of this episode is a play on Rambo. So thank you, IMDb trivia, for pointing that out.
Yeah. So this episode, we start like in flashback. This episode is flashback because they're like, Roseanne, you saved everyone. How did you do it? And we find her on a train with a diplomat and her family going to DC.
The diplomat, played by a character actor I definitely recognized. I don't know what his name is, but he's just one of those like, oh, that guy. Yeah.
So that's happening. And then the train is taken over by terrorists, and Roseanne is separated from her family on the train. And they're saying, like, we're going to kill your family, but you can't help them. But she's like, hell no, I'm going to help them. And so she fights the terrorists and ends up saving her family. Guys, this is an episode of Roseanne.
Yeah, it's an episode of Roseanne that is just like a play on, Rambo and Die Hard, and it's John Goodman not in it. The other characters mostly not in it. It's mostly Roseanne.
Just DJ. There's no Darlene or Becky. There's no David. Mark is there.
But they're all given so little to do. It's almost all the runtime is Roseanne pretending to be Rambo.
Like blow darting tampons at people. And
there's also the like weird thing with the terrorists where they clearly didn't want to point to any specific ethnic group. So the terrorists are like every possible race. They look like the brochure for a community college. And they're all dressed as like cowboys for some reason. However, the way they are written, it feels very clearly like a racist stereotype of Islam. There's a lot of like, our religion says that women aren't allowed to speak, and the like one woman with them is in essentially a burqa.
Guys, the writing is bad.
Yeah.
The performances are bad. I can't explain to you how poorly this is done. It is like I have seen 6th graders put on better sketches.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, there's definitely like summer camp, end of summer sketches that are 1,000 times better written and acted than this.
Yeah. The jumping of the shark here, I think that everyone says it's when they won the lottery. And yes, and they really should have stopped They really should have stopped, and someone should have stopped them. But no one did. And at this point, Roseanne is making $20 million a season. It's a pretty good deal for her. Last 2 seasons of the show, she made $40 million bucks. So that was a thing with the, like, why did she want to write the lottery? And because when the show Roseanne started, she was a working class stand-up with 3 kids. Like, that was her. She did not have $40 million bucks. And then towards the end of the show, she was very rich and very famous. So she wanted to somehow have that aspect of her life enter the show.
Yeah, I mean, I can see the impulse. It's the same reason, like, you know, every musician, once their career takes off, just writes a lot of songs about being on the road. Because that's like most of their fucking life. So what else are they supposed to write about? The more successful you get as an artist, the less your life is relatable in terms of what you're making your art about.
So why do we think it is the worst episode? I think it's the worst episode because it is late in the game. At this point, the writer's room has been completely cleared out and refilled and completely cleared out and refilled again. John Goodman is not in it. It entirely takes place on a train. The writing is bad. The performances are bad. It is one of the worst episodes of television I have ever seen.
Yeah, I think I would still personally, just in terms of the experience of watching it, put Love Lines from Dawson's Creek and whatever the worst Grey's Anatomy was called below that. Partly length, just sitting through those was harder, but also like those were just so unpleasant. And this, while shitty to watch, it just it felt like 20 minutes. I got through it. So I would still put those worst. This is definitely on the list of worst television episodes we've watched.
It was rough. It was, yeah, I was so dreading going into watching more episodes of this after watching this one because I was like, I don't remember it being this bad. I don't remember television ever being this bad.
One of my notes is just they're trying to do an action movie on what seems to be a budget of $4. It's just so cheaply and poorly done. They make both a Chelsea Clinton and a Bosnia joke right at the top. So really setting us at setting the mood and time for us. Other notes I have are costume design is terrible, followed by the fuck are the terrorists wearing? Also, we can talk about this with the theme, but the credit sequence is maybe the worst TV credit sequence I've ever seen. And it's not the credit sequence that the rest of the series had. They only did this credit sequence in season 9, and it is, I think, the single worst TV credit sequence I've ever seen.
Roseanne controversy. We touched a little bit on it with the alleged toxic work environment. We touched a little bit on it with the removal of the creator of the show mid-season, first season. We touched a little bit on for the reboot. So they brought the show back in 2018. Similar situation because at the end of season 9, they won the lottery was all a dream, and Dan actually died. But yet they do the reboot and he's somehow alive again. Anyway, I don't know.
The reboot made the decision to completely disregard the 9th season. There's nothing that happened in that season. Even the supposed real life parts they just fully discounted them.
Yeah, so bad that they removed it from the show. So they came back. The show was doing well. The show was doing well on 8. And then Roseanne made a racist tweet about Valerie Jarrett. And Roseanne, the first 9 seasons of that show, whatever Roseanne said went. And she faced kind of no consequences. And then in the 2018 world, she does something that is racist and the show is removed from the air pretty much instantly. All of the reruns are pulled from syndication and from streaming. And the show is done. So she faced a swift consequence there that was not how things went in the 80s and 90s when she was making the show. There was the national anthem during, I don't remember what year it was. It was during maybe the second or third season of the show, which was like, the show is number 1 on TV. Roseanne is incredibly, incredibly popular. She's a household name. She's a household face. And she's asked to sing the national anthem. I think Tom Werner is involved because he's at that point, I think, a minority owner in the baseball team. He now owns part of the Red Sox. Anyway, so he's a baseball owner. So, and he was the production company guy. So she comes in to sing the national anthem. She sings it incredibly off pitch, and then she spits and grabs her crotch to be like a baseball player. The crowd boos. The media takes it and runs with it. People call it incredibly disgraceful. The sitting president of the United States at the time comments on it. But the show continues on. She faces no consequences, and that still remains number 1 and number 2 in the ratings. So So that she can do something like that, which in my opinion, I don't like. I'm not like a person who's beholden to the sanctity of the national anthem, but the sort of two sides of the same coin is that she does something that I think is more offensive and racist, and then she gets swiftly fired. But at the time, ABC, she did not see any consequences for her national anthem situation.
Yeah. I mean, just as I mentioned at the top, in the last 10 years, she has gone full QAnon Trump. She recently rapped on like a MAGA rapper's rap song. I mean, she's just kind of fully gone off the deep end. I think it's one of those feedback loops of like, once you get cut off, you kind of you either have a come to Jesus with yourself, which I don't think a lot of these people are capable of, or you just keep digging in deeper and deeper because you can't admit you're wrong. And I think that's kind of the cycle she's in.
The construction noise is so loud right now.
Yeah, I think we're just going to roll with it. Just the moment we started recording. We have a friend who, I'm going to leave out some names, but we have a friend who is a Pilates teacher. She teaches in her backyard, and a very like A-list director, his people reached out and was like, he's looking for a new Pilates situation. He needs something like private and quiet. And she's like, that's great. I have this like beautiful backyard. Come on over. He came over, and the instant he got there, the neighbors started like taking down trees with like cranes and chainsaws. It was like the loudest, most obtrusive thing. And then it happened the entire time he was there, and then the session was over and he left, and it all immediately stopped. And was quiet after. She never heard from him again. And that's sort of what's happening to us now. This episode was written by two people, by Bobby Gaylor, who has no Wikipedia page, but he does have a page on the Phineas and Ferb wiki. And that told me he was born in Boston, got started in stand-up comedy. His first job was Roseanne in its last season. He wrote on some adult TV shows, but in the last several years, his main thing is he writes children's TV shows. He's done like a lot of SpongeBob. And then Betsy Salkin, again, no Wikipedia page, but she has a personal website with a detailed biography that says she was raised in Connecticut and Virginia, but it spells it Razed. And I don't know if that's a typo or like a joke I'm not understanding. Anyway, she has a master's degree in business management, but decided to do comedy instead, and it doesn't look like that went great, as this credit on Roseanne is one of the only credits she has on television. So kind of one of her only credits on television is one of the worst episodes of television ever written. I think she still does stand-up. She's a dedicated advocate for the National Association to Protect Children, according to her website, so that's great. And then this was directed by Gary Halvorson, who I do think wrote his own Wikipedia, but with text-to-speech maybe, because the first sentence of his Wikipedia is, and I'm just quoting here, Halvorson was trained as a classical pianist at but least. I don't know what that was even trying to say. He got to start shooting Broadway for Showtime, and he still mostly does live event shooting. That's kind of what he, like 90% of what he has done. Like most recently, he is the director of the Metropolitan Opera live streaming events to like movie theaters.
Great.
Yeah.
Good for him.
And that's the team behind just like one of television's lowest hours.
Yeah, a real blow. I mean, the entire 9th season is a real blow, and this is the worst of that.
Yeah, it is unsurprising that the writers of it did not see like a tremendous amount of television success afterwards. This was no Amy Sherman Palladino or Joss Whedon coming in as Roseanne writers.
Yeah, they both came in as Roseanne writers, and you could say, I don't know. We'll get there in the best episode, which is up and coming. Up and coming,
and so much better than this. But let's get to an ad break and our intermission. So here's some ads.
Uncovered windows can make your home feel up to 20 degrees hotter. Stay cool and save up to 45% off custom window treatments during the summer Black Friday mega sale at Blinds.com. From outdoor shades to room darkening blinds, finding the perfect fit is easy. Get free samples, expert design help, and professional measure and install services, or DIY with confidence and support every step of the way. Shop up to 45% off site-wide, plus huge savings on doorbusters right now during the summer Black Friday mega sale at Blinds.com.
And now for our intermission, which is, how is that theme song?
I don't remember the credit sequence from the season 9 that it was so bad, but I remember the credit sequences from the other episodes that we did watch, and I found it to be a beautiful credit sequence and the song to be great. Like I think it's like a very serviceable. I like what they're doing. I like that it's like a They're like sort of things are happening. I like it.
Yeah, no, the credit sequence for the first 8 seasons, which they must have filmed a bunch of times because they like get older during it, is just like them around the kitchen table eating pizza. The theme song is just kind of your basic like blues rocky riff. I feel like literally any musician that knows anything about music could have written that. The musicians who did were Dan Folliart and Howard Pearl, who were partners at Paramount Studios. They had composed music for Happy Days and its various spin-offs, along with a bunch of other shows. And then after this, Dan went on to write on his own the theme song to Home Improvement, Beverly Hills 90210, and Seventh Heaven. So, it's just like some working TV music guys churning out some 12-bar blues. But yeah, the image of like a family eating pizza is great. So for season 9, first they brought in John Popper of Blues Traveler to do vocals.
Oh, yeah,
so there was
yeah.
vocals on it. And then also, instead of them sitting around the table, it's like just cut out pictures of their faces and then doing like kind of 90s CGI morphing into like different picture. It's really ugly and upsetting. And it just sets the mood in such a bad way. Yeah, I don't know why they changed it other than that I guess they made the creative decision that everything in the 9th season had to be bad, and that included the credit sequence.
Yeah, sounds like it.
I think this music is totally okay, but kind of less interesting than it could be, so I'm going to give it like a 4.
You had a 5.
Okay. Let us get to the best episode.
Okay. The best episode is season 5, episode 13, Crime and Punishment. Also season 5, episode 14, War and Peace. When I found out that we were going to have to watch 2 episodes, I got very upset. But then we started watching it and I was like, guys, Roseanne is good.
Yeah. These were, it's like a 2-parter. We decided we had to watch both because they just go right into each other. There is no ending to the first one.
The first one was so good that I was like, I wanted to watch the next one. So what is happening in this episode? The B plot is that DJ gets in trouble at school.
Well, it's the B plot, but it's sort of a fake out A plot because it's what the episode is about for like the first 10 minutes.
Yeah. So DJ gets in trouble at school. Dan's hosting a poker game for like his unemployed friends because they're all working class and there's not enough work. And DJ gets in trouble at school for bringing an inappropriate reading material, and so Dan assumes it was one of his playboys and calls Roseanne, and Roseanne's like, I'm at work, like, you gotta fix this. And it's really funny because it's like the invisible labor thing that she brings up where he's like, this is the name of the school that your child attends, this is where it is, go deal with it.
And when they get there, they have never seen him before, and they were like, oh, we just assumed she was a single mom, we thought you were dead.
So he's there, he goes there to deal with it, and he thinks they're talking about a Playboy, but they're actually talking about something else. And then they realize that they're talking about 2 different things. And what it is...
The principal by the play, played by Ed Begley Jr., always great to see him.
Always great to see him. They realize that what DJ has brought in is apparently a comic that is incredibly disturbing. Then they find out it is Darlene, his older sister, the middle sister, who wrote it. And so that is what is going on there.
And then like 10 minutes in, there's a pretty hard shift where... what is Laurie Metcalf's character's name?
Jackie.
Jackie is talking to Roseanne. I forget what even the conversation starts as.
So Jackie wants to take Roseanne out to a movie. But then Roseanne's like, no, take me out to dinner. But you got to change your shirt. So she's like, I'll borrow one of Darlene's shirts. So she goes into Darlene's room and then into the bathroom to change. And Darlene walks in on her. And Jackie kind of freaks out and is like, what's going on? And Darlene goes to Roseanne and is like, and Jackie's got like bruises on her. What's going on? And then Jackie's like, my boyfriend beat me up.
At which point, John Goodman, just kind of like there's a real like silent understanding between Roseanne. Is it Dan, you said?
Yeah.
Dan, there's a real silent understanding where he just like grabs his coat and walks out. And then he beats the shit out of her boyfriend. And
off camera.
He like comes home with like bleeding knuckles. And
a bucket of chicken.
Yeah, he went and stopped and got chicken. Roseanne is like, I think it's Laurie Metcalf.
Jackie.
I think it's Jackie who's like, did you beat up my boyfriend and then go and get chicken? And he's like, no, I got chicken first. And then the police show up because he decided to press charges. And so it ends with him getting arrested, which leads us to the part 2, where basically the guy drops the charges, he gets out of jail, and then they help her break up with him And it's written in this very graceful way where it is a very special episode, but it feels like it's about the characters. It doesn't feel like we're seeing a PSA about something.
What is so unique to Roseanne is how well the characters know each other. It feels like Jackie and Roseanne are actual sisters. Like the way that relationship works, it feels like they're actual sisters. It feels like that Dan and Roseanne are actually husband and wife. Like the relationships feel so incredibly real. Which is, I think it's a lot to do with the acting. Roseanne is over the top, but it works because of the foundation of the other actors around her who love and embrace her for that over the topness.
And also, we've talked about this with like just off mic. Like Laurie Metcalf and John Goodman are both just so much better than a sitcom needs. They're both just like world-class actors.
Yeah.
And so they're capable of so much more than sitcom acting.
Not to say capable because they are so good, what they bring to it is they are able to elevate the sitcom past cheap jokes and punchlines, and like they're able to bring a lot of emotional nuance and believable relationships to a medium where that is not normally seen. So it's not that they're better than it, it's that they make it better.
Well, I just said they are better than they need to be to do a sitcom. There's plenty of people who are good sitcom performers who can't do what they can do.
Laurie Metcalf comes out of Steppenwolf, which is an incredible theater company in Chicago. She's won a number of Tonys. She won an Emmy for this season of the show.
She won an Emmy for this episode.
This was the episode that they submitted for Emmy consideration. She won 3 supporting actress Emmys for this show. Roseanne won Best Actress one year, and John Goodman won at least one time. The show never won an Emmy for Best Comedy.
Interesting.
Which I think,
I bet if we looked at some of the ones that won, it would be real life stuff
we don't even fucking know what this is. Yeah. I think a lot of what works for me about Roseanne, again, is the realness of the characters and then just the realness of the situation. There are people who are living real life problems. Like they're trying to afford the mortgage. There's not enough work. They're between jobs. Their kids are getting in trouble at school. Like there's issues of domestic violence, which occurs across all levels of class, but is more prevalent in among working class people. At least I think it is. I don't know. That could just be on my own biases, but
yeah, there's just thinking about like the things this show does really well with the subject. There's a point where Roseanne and Jackie go over to I think his name is Fisher,
who's played by at the time Laurie Metcalf's real life husband.
Not husband yet. They met and started dating in this season and then eventually married. They were together for 21 years before divorcing in 2014, but they met on I don't know if this episode, but this season.
Well, no, she dates him throughout the whole season. So
so this is where they met. Anyway, they're at his apartment. Was told not to be there, and they're clearing out stuff, and there's some funny stuff with Roseanne intentionally breaking. Anytime she finds out something is not Jackie, she breaks it. And then Fisher shows up, and they have this confrontation. But there's this point where it's kind of becomes clear this is not the first time he's beaten her up. And it's done in this like very implied way where it's like it's all in what is not being said, but it's still very clear what's happening. And also I think the reaction is really interesting where Roseanne's like, you know what? Okay, if you were willing to stay all those other times, I'm not going to tell you have to leave now because apparently you're fine with this. So I'm just going to go wait outside. And you decide whether you're going to walk out on this. And I think that's all just, again, a lot more interesting than a very special episode of a sitcom has to be. It doesn't feel like a PSA. It feels like real people dealing with a real issue. Yes.
And then Roseanne gets to have the line, I hope your next girlfriend's brother-in-law kills you. But then Dan and DJ have to have a conversation. I think there's another issue with DJ at school with hitting or something. And Dan has to have the conversation with DJ, like, it's not okay to hit other people. They're like, but didn't you just go to jail for... He's like, well, it's okay to hit people when they hurt someone that you love. So it's like this sort of like, complicated issue. I really enjoy how his arrest is portrayed. It's the bad old days where TV cops are cool and good and your buddy and your pal.
Well, because Jackie used to be a cop. And so they're like, they know, like, it's clear the cops know this family. They are like friends with them. And so there's a real like, sorry, bud, but we got to arrest you what the cop is like, obviously we're not going to handcuff you. And Dan is like, no, handcuff me.
Yeah, you can't get in trouble because I need you to get rid of my tickets. So
some notes I have. There was they made these, we watched this on Peacock and they made it widescreen by just zooming in. And there was some issues with that. Most notably, there was like a joke that was visual that fully happened off camera because they had zoomed in on the wrong part of the screen. I kind of wish they hadn't done that. Just show us the whole picture. Other notes I have, the credit sequence much better. It's nice to see John Goodman, Ed Begley Jr. There's a point where Roseanne is like trying to wingman her teenage waitress coworker. But ultimately what it turns into is just her hitting on some high schoolers on the teen's behalf. And it's just this awkward scene where she is a middle-aged woman hitting on some high schoolers. I have Darlene ahead of the game in manga. I think it's manga, because that is basically what she's writing. And then I just have Laurie Metcalf too good for this show.
No, she's not too good for the show. She makes the show
delivers
better.
A great performance.
She really does. But so does John Goodman, and so does Roseanne in her own way. I mean, I would also say so does Sarah Gilbert, who's playing Darlene, is legit a kid, or Michael Fishman, who's DJ, and like are legit kids and doing a good job.
Sarah Gilbert, in my opinion, not great. She's fine.
I don't think she's giving the same a performance equal to Laurie Metcalf. I also don't think she's being given the material equal to Laurie Metcalf. But what I'm saying is that I think the acting is good on this show when when the writing is good and the show makes sense. But I don't think that Laurie Metcalf is too good for it. I think she helps make it better.
A little behind the scenes, we had to start this episode over because my computer crashed. And we talked about this a bit in the first try, which is this series feels to me a bit like What If All in the Family Was Good? Like it's a very similar thing of like, what if we showed a working class family and were honest about it and realistic about it and looked like depicted their uncomfortable politics along with everything else. But in my opinion, is the writing and acting is just significantly better here. So it did have a feel of like a second run at what All in the Family was trying to do.
I know that they have made the Connors reboot. I just don't think you could get. I think we've just regressed so far in television. I don't think you could get Roseanne made today. I don't think you could have like two fat poor people anchor a show.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like Bob's Burgers, there's Mike and Molly, but again, that is like of a different time, right? Like I feel like nowadays we're not seeing sitcoms. And the ones that we are very movie star.
Well, I mean, there's definitely is still network sitcoms happening. We're just not watching. There's was it Big Bang Theory led to Young Sheldon, which led to there's a spinoff from Young Sheldon that is incredibly popular. It's like the third most watched television show, and I had never heard of it. I doubt you've heard of it either. So these shows, I'm not going to say shows like this because I don't personally think they're at the same quality, but network sitcoms are still happening. We're just kind of less aware of them.
Yeah, and I guess it's not a situation of that they're not happening. We are just less aware of them because like 30 million people are watching Roseanne, but 30 million people are not watching whatever this Young Sheldon spinoff is.
Yeah, I'm curious. What is the Young Sheldon spinoff get? So the spinoff is called George and Mandy's First Marriage. And ratings. Yeah, I mean, it is one of the highest watched shows, and its premiere got 8.5 million. So it's just like a different world where 8.5 million is incredible. Like that is a hit. So a very different world. All right. So writers and directors. The first part was written by Bruce Rasmussen. I'm going to guess how you say that. He got his start writing on the mid-'80s show Easy Street.
I'd say it Rasmussen.
Okay. About some hillbillies that find out they are related to a rich Beverly Hills family, which seems like a pretty straightforward ripoff of the Beverly Hillbillies. Has been regularly writing TV since. Interestingly, this is the only episode of the original Roseanne that he wrote, but he is one of the 3 writers credited with developing the Connors. I guess because he wrote the best episode, they brought him back to develop that. Part 2 was written by 2 people, Deanne Helene and Eileen Heisler. They're writing partners. As far as I can tell, everything they've ever done in television has been together. They got their start on Doogie Howser, then Roseanne, Ellen, How I Met Your Mother, and then they co-created The Middle, which is that sitcom that stars the janitor from Scrubs. Their last work was in the writer's room of The First Lady, which was a Showtime miniseries about first ladies. I think it was specifically Michelle Obama, Jackie O, and Nancy Reagan, which is an interesting collection of people to depict. Both parts of this episode were directed by Andrew Wyman, who did not write his own Wikipedia page. Good for you, Andrew. He was born in Brooklyn, got his start in the late 70s, directing for the soap opera The Edge of the Night, which ran for nearly 30 years, starting in the 1950s. Have you ever heard of The Edge of the Night?
I have not, no.
30 years of that show. He did a lot of directing for soap operas through the 80s, and then in the late 80s, he pivoted to sitcoms, and he directed all the way to 2018. He directed 2 episodes of the reboot season before retiring. Quite a career.
Quite a career out there.
So having watched these 2 very different extremes, how do you feel about Roseanne now?
I think Roseanne's good, guys. I think that there's a lot to be enjoyed there and a lot to learn from as far as TV history goes. I would love some, a behind the scenes. I'd love to find out what really happened. I want to find out like how much of it is that Roseanne is a toxic person and how much of it is that people just do not respect women, especially not in the late 80s in entertainment.
And especially not like a fat working class woman.
Yes. I want to know. I think it's probably a mix of the both. I want to know what that mix is. So if anyone...
Yeah, it's the thing is like, if I didn't know anything about else about Roseanne, based on the information from the behind the scenes, I'd say I think she just was a strong personality with a clear creative vision, and that upset people is what it feels like. However, we also have to take into account that she got fired for like absolute gutter racism and then became a QAnon person. So it does feel like inarguable that she is also a terrible person. So it's hard to say what was going on there.
I saw this on something that I was reading, and I'm not 100% sure that this actually happened, but apparently she had a traumatic brain injury when she was like in her late adolescence. She was like 16 or 17. She had a traumatic brain injury. She was hit by a car. So like that can fuck with your personality. That can fuck with your impulse control. That can fuck with your behavior. So it's possible that some of her behavior is as a result of TBI. But I mean, a lot of people have TBI and don't make racist tweets. So
I forget which podcast was it. The Dream that had this weird subplot about this. There was some podcast that was not about this, but the host there was like this side.
It was The Dream, yeah.
It was The Dream, yeah, where the host, when she was like 6 or something, fell. There was like these stairs that didn't have railings, and she fell from like 1 story up onto her head on the floor, and has like pretty extreme consequences of that well into in her adulthood. So yeah, traumatic brain injuries can really do a number on a number of things, including like impulse control and personality. But on the other hand, it's what got her that show was her personality. So who's to say what's good or bad? Not me.
Not us critics over here.
So having watched these, having never seen Roseanne, I had the same feeling as you after watching the worst episode of just like, oh, this is gonna be hard to get through. But yeah, I thought the best and the middleest episode were both very good and felt like they were both trying to do the same thing, which is do kind of an honest portrayal of basically Roseanne's life, like this, working class family.
I feel like they have a messy kitchen. Like you can see their pantry, and it's not like it feels really real.
Yeah, they go in, and then there's a point where they go in the garage, and the garage is just like full of shit in a way that doesn't look like a set. It just looks like somebody's messy garage. Yeah, and the way they talk to each other, again, coming back to All in the Family, there's like a little feeling of they're not always saying the right thing politically, but it also doesn't feel like they're bad people. It just feels like they're people who don't know the right way to say things because that's not the education they have, and they're just kind of trying their best at that.
Just like us out here trying our best.
We have the education, hun. We're the overeducated elite. Although neither of us went to grad school, so I guess not.
In case if we ever want to light 100K on fire, we can go to grad school.
Listen, we're going to take a little detour to my philosophy on grad school, which is grad school is great if you have a specific job in mind that grad school will get you.
Or if you have money, like if someone's willing to pay your way for it, I would go to school forever if it was free.
But just going to grad school without any plan, and if you're like taking on debt, I don't recommend that personally. I think you're gonna end up in debt without a lot to show for it, other than probably some fun years, which maybe that's good. Would we keep watching it? I don't know. Yes, I think I don't think we will, just because our TV schedule is pretty full between this show and then the shows we watch for fun.
Yeah, the new stuff. Like, I don't feel like I need to go back and watch this again.
But you're kind of interested in the Connors?
Listen, I don't know if I'm interested in the Connors, but like if I was like waiting for my car to get repaired and Roseanne was on the TV there, I probably would watch it as opposed to scrolling my phone. Like, I don't think that's like a good review for it. Like if it was forced upon me, I probably would pay attention to it instead of paying attention to something else. That's the world today, baby. That's the attention span economy.
Yeah, I guess where I'm at is I would probably watch through at least the good episodes, but I don't think I will, because it's good but not good enough to prioritize over some of the other shows we watch.
They just keep making more Below Deck, so we got to keep watching.
Yeah, we got to watch all the Below Deck and the Top Chef and then the Tournament of Champions. We mostly watch Below Deck and cooking competitions. DTF St. Louis, if you haven't watched, very good.
Yeah, we just finished that. We enjoyed it.
And then if you did watch DTF St. Louis and enjoyed it, I highly recommend going back to the Amazon Prime show Patriot, which I don't think did well because it sounds like a Tom Clancy action thing. It is not that. It is this super weird, beautiful show about a sad sack spy who just wants to be a singer-songwriter. And it's very good. Okay. Thank you so much for listening to our show. Check out our Patreon-only show, The Middleist, where we will be discussing the exact Middleist rated episode to see what that show looks like when everything is exactly average. That episode is Season 2, Episode 16, Born to be Wild. It's about their bad old motorcycle days and how they met. And hello, this is me coming in later because we changed our mind about the show we were going to watch next. We decided to do the show that we did announce in this recording later, for reasons we will explain then, and instead we are going to watch Murder, She Wrote with Angela Lansbury. I'm very excited about this one. I watched it with my grandma. Maybe you watched it with your grandma. Maybe you are a grandma. In any case, it's Murder, She Wrote, and then we will do the one that we meant to announce here in a little bit later for reasons we will explain then. But thank you so much for listening. Okay, I'm going to take you back to the episode. It's kind of like mid-theme song because we were announcing it while the theme song came on. All right, see you there.
Nothing like experimenting.
Nothing like experimenting. All right, and let's hum that famous Roseanne theme.
Ba-na-da-na, ba-na-da-da.